Hello, everybody. It's Craig Houston here. And I just want to do a quick public service announcement. I just got off what feels like my 1000th Zoom conference call. I don't know about you, but with the new situation that we're in, spending a lot of time, hours and hours each week on video. And I started using video platforms probably about 8 or 9 months ago. And I don't know about you, but the first time that I got logged in, I saw some of these people and their pictures looked great on video. And then I looked at my picture and I was kind of like, what's wrong? How do they do what they do? How do they look good on camera? And well, I don't. So that sent me on this little path to try to discover a way to up your video presence on any platform, whether that's GoToWebinar or Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet, whatever platform you happen to be using. I just want to share 5 things that will make it easy for you to show up well on video and really up your game and kind of set you apart on those pictures when you're looking in gallery view and you're seeing the tops of people's heads barely. You're seeing ceiling fans, you're seeing all kinds of things that maybe shouldn't be seen. Hopefully these tips will help you, and none of them cost any money. So hopefully this will be productive for you. So the very first thing that I want to do is go through these 5 things that will help you up your game. And number one, we want to eliminate this excess headspace at the top of the screen. Again, this is just a thing that happens naturally. People lean back in their chair. They'll set their camera up, lean up, get close to their laptop or their iPad or their phone, whatever it is that you're using. But then they lean back and their head drops in the frame. Now, my grandfather, before he passed away, probably about the time he was nearing 100 years old, my sister bought him an iPad so that we could FaceTime with him. He loved being connected to family. And as a 100-year-old person, he didn't have the strongest hands, a little bit arthritic, and that iPad would start to tilt back in his hand. And as he did, his head would go down and down and down in the camera. And basically, he would get to the place where, he was here, and all we would see, sometimes here, just see the top of his head. That even happens in these video conferences. On the Zoom meeting I was just in, a very prominent financial advisor should be looking very professional, kicked back in his chair, and literally all that everybody saw for an hour-long meeting was the top of his hair. So this is just about you showing up well. Anything I can do to help you just differentiate yourself from everybody else. So let's eliminate that headspace. What you want to do is you want to fill the frame as much as possible. And my apologies to photographers everywhere. We're just going to focus on one part of the rule of thirds. I'm going to give you a quick cheat that you can know you're in the right place. And what I want you to do is I want you to picture drawing a tic-tac-toe board on your screen and put your eyes on the top line. If you do that, you know you're going to be in the right place. And that also will tell you if you're starting to lean back or go down and drop down, you're going to know your eyes are drifting off of that line. So always try to keep yourself there. And if you do that, you'll know you're filling the frame. The next thing that we want to do is we want to raise the camera to eye level. When you raise the camera to eye level, now you're naturally looking. Remember, we're trying to connect via video. In the normal world, when we're speaking to somebody, we are speaking to them. It's natural to look at somebody. So what happens in video is we start to look away. We're looking at the person, but we're actually looking at their picture. And if we're not looking at eye level with the camera, we're either looking up somebody's nose, which is very unpleasant. We're looking down on the top of somebody's head, which can also be equally unpleasant. If you got a head like mine, you might get some excess reflection going on. So what we want to do is we want to raise that camera to eye level, and there's some other benefits to that we're going to talk about in just a second. And then you want to look in the camera. As I just said, we're looking at the pictures. So if I've got my laptop is below the camera. And so if I'm on a Zoom call and I'm speaking to you, it's natural for me to do this and look at your picture. Because if I'm looking at your picture, it feels to me like I'm speaking to you. But you watching this video, it looks to you like I'm not looking at you, like I'm looking at something else. But to me, I'm looking right at you. If I'm looking at the camera, now it feels like we're connected and I'm making eye contact with you. This is probably the most difficult thing for people to get used to. It is so natural for us to want to look at somebody's face that we're going to look away at the screen. If you have side screens, if you have a laptop, if you have an iPad or a phone, it's natural to look at the screen. And what you want to do is you want to look at the camera. It's the only way that you're going to make that person feel like you're connected with them. It's natural to look away, do things, look at your notes. Don't get weird. Don't like get fixated on the camera. Don't do this. That's going to creep everybody out. So don't do that. Be as natural as possible, but picture that person in the camera. A great way to do your focus so it doesn't look weird is try to set your visual focus on the back end of the camera, not the front of the lens. It just makes how you look at people feel more natural on video. So look into the camera, and when you do that, when the laptop is elevated, and when you're looking in the camera, the back of your computer, if you don't have a separate webcam or separate DSLR, or whether it's your phone or your iPad, tablet, whatever you use a Surface, use a MacBook, whatever it is, make sure that screen is as vertical as possible. What that does is it keeps your background looking normal and it keeps you looking normal. You don't want to get into these funky distortions. I don't know if you've been on a FaceTime call with somebody, with a family member, or somebody who put their phone or their iPad or their other device in their lap. And what does that do? It makes your stomach look about 20 times bigger than it really is. And it makes your head look really, really small. And it really looks creepy. It's very uncomfortable for the rest of us. Or a person might cross their legs and their leg looks like it's super swollen relative to their body. Please don't do that. Just keep the back of your device as vertical as possible. That keeps the funky, weird lines behind you from being distorted, keeps us from looking up your nose, and it also keeps us from looking at your ceiling fan or the funky, odd corner in your room. The next thing you want to do, and this is huge, you want to face the light source. If you're sitting in front of a window, but the window's behind you, we can't connect with you. We can't see your face. The camera's trying to adjust to the lighting, and it's exposing itself for the light behind you, the backlight, and you're very difficult to see. You're like a silhouette. I've seen many people go outside for a call. They'll sit on their patio and they'll show us the wonderful sunset or the wonderful sunrise, but it's behind them. And we see this bright picture, but we can't see their face. We can't see your face. And you can only have connection if we see your face. So get yourself seated in front of the window. Make sure your cat is on the other side of the monitor. Your dog is in your lap or on the floor, whatever. But face the window and you will be well lit. And that way we'll be able to see you and connect with you. The next thing is if you want to spend a little bit of money, I know I said this is all free, but for less than $10, you can go to your local home improvement store, your local hardware store, and you can get a daylight light bulb and put it in a lamp and put that lamp in front of you, and that will better light your face. And I'll tell you how to position it in just a moment. But just get a bulb that says daylight. Most lights in people's homes are soft white light. And when you have soft light, another way to word it is yellow. And so if you just take a normal lamp and you turn that on, you're going to look yellow. You're going to actually look unhealthy when you're on video. If you're in a very industrial space with very bright fluorescent lights, that's going to make a blue tint. If you're just using your screen to light you, a lot of the new screens are at a lighting level that makes you look blue. It casts a blue light on you. So just get a light that's daylight, says daylight. If you're really into the temperatures, it's going to be between 5,000 and 6,500. Very difficult to find a 6,000 Kelvin light at a home improvement store, but you can find them online. They're relatively inexpensive. But just get a daylight light bulb, you'll be fine. And this is an example of what I found at a home improvement store here locally. And on the box it said daylight. That's all you need to worry about. These were 100-watt equivalent LED lights, so they're cool. They don't get hot, and they're bright. I got 1,600 lumens, which is the brightest I could find, and did those as a sample with another group, and they look great. And so how do you set it up? Well, you'd like to have two lights. You want one on your right side, one on your left side. You want them ideally about 45 degrees. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a clock face, and one light between 1 and 2 o'clock, another light between 10 and 11 o'clock. Put them far enough away that you're not like glowing like an alien, but that you're just well lit. My lights are in these positions now, and they're far away from me. I'm using professional lighting for photography and videography, but the position of the lighting, the position of the camera is exactly as you see here. And finally, the last thing. I just got off a call, as I shared with you. I'm wearing a sport coat and I'm wearing a dress shirt. That's my brand. So I'm an executive coach. I work with business leaders and executives to help them up their leadership game and their communication and create leader-independent, high-performing groups. That's what I do for a living, so that's my brand. So when I show up on video, I want to show up representing my brand. Show up representing your brand, whatever that is. But if it's a work-related meeting, I'm not talking about speaking to your family members, but if it's a work-related, work-from-home kind of thing, and you're on this conference, make sure that you're dressing for success, just like you would at work. You know, take a shower, get dressed, look good, and represent your brand. If that's a polo shirt, great. If that's just a nice blouse, great. If it's a t-shirt and that's what you do, that's great. This isn't about conforming to what everybody else looks like. It is about making sure that on video you represent your brand just like you would if you were in person. It doesn't matter what happens below the waist. Just make sure above the waist that you're looking good. Now, it does matter what's happening below the waist if you stand up in front of your camera. There are hysterical videos that have gone viral on YouTube and other platforms that have been video conference calls where somebody has stood up, and of course, you know, they're in their underwear or whatever they're doing, and the rest of the group is just laughing their heads off, trying to get their attention, saying, "Hey, your camera is still on." So just make sure above the waist you look great. You know, I may or may not be wearing my workout clothes underneath all of this. I don't know. I'll never tell. But what I want you to do is just be cognizant of how you're showing up. Do these 5 things, and you're going to be grand on video. You're going to up your video presence, and people will be looking at you like I did when I first started joining, going, how does that person look so good on video and I don't? It truly will set you apart. So I hope this has been a good public service announcement for you. I wanted to give you something that would add value to you and not cost you a dime or cost you less than $10 if you go buy those light bulbs. Have an amazing day. Stay safe. Be healthy.